I have seen hell, and it's named after a fucking grape. Okay, so this is not a video I anticipated making in any capacity, but after trying this out of morbid curiosity, I knew I had to make a video about it. If you're familiar with anything in the gaming space recently, you've probably heard about Concord, the new 5v5 shooter releasing for PlayStation 5 and PC in August. You've probably heard some not so great things considering how badly the reveal went for this last May. And yeah, if you watched that state of play, it was pretty fucking bad. The same usual AAA live shooter service slob that we've been getting for years in the form of another hero shooter, with the personality and dialogue of a Marvel movie so obnoxious it would make Joss Whedon tell it to take a step back. So, my immediate reaction was, wow, this looks like shit. I gotta try it out. Recently, Concord had its beta for the game, and since the first early access weekend was free for PlayStation Plus users, I decided, hey, why the fuck not? How bad could it possibly be? The answer is pretty bad. It's pretty fucking bad. The first thing you'll notice beyond watching that first awful trailer is that the in-game dialogue and story doesn't fare much better. It takes several minutes when you first boot the game up to go through these terrible cutscenes and dialogue that, while not as obnoxious as the first trailer, still reek of that awful, that just happened humor that has been plaguing everything for the past 12 years since Avengers came out.
You are the finest starship in the skies. Now,
the game barely establishes much of what's going on. I guess you're applying to be something called a free gunner crew, but I don't even know what that means in context to this game's world. What are they? What do they do? What are all these terms they're throwing out for other factions? Do you care? You're probably bored already. I don't blame you, I am too. The game desperately hopes you're not though, since they play this opening cutscene every time you boot the game up, and you have to skip it every time you boot the game up. All anyone cares about here is the gameplay. It's a 5v5 hero shooter. You've seen this before. You've played this before. Concord isn't breaking any ground here besides just how absolutely bland it is. First up, the art direction really sucks. They were going for this kind of 70s sci-fi aesthetic. That's what they tried at least. It doesn't look good. I guess the maps and everything in the worlds themselves are passable, but what really sticks out is the character design. You've got characters like Discount Star-Lord, Discount Drax, Call of Duty, that Ben Swallow meme from 2018, Toad if Nintendo wasn't fucking around, Harley Quinn personality knockoff 1, Harley Quinn personality knockoff 2, and blue lipstick lady with... oh god, oh fuck, pronouns. Oh god, pronouns. I like Hamar though. She's alright. But the issue here isn't that the character designs are mostly, well, bad. It's that they're just either inconsistent, painfully average, or wildly unfitting. This game wants to have its wacky, over-the-top character design, but they still want to have it grounded with these more realistic features, and it's a direction that constantly clashes. I can see a character like Blue Lipstick Lady or Pink Robot Person working very well if they looked more cartoonish or stylized instead of the same realistic look every AAA game is going for nowadays. But this doesn't look stylized. This looks like a bunch of people cosplaying characters from this game rather than actual characters. Then there's things about the designs that make no sense with how the character actually plays. Take this character in the trench coat, for example. Take a wild guess without looking it up or playing beforehand what their weapon of choice is. Maybe you'd think it was some kind of science fiction-esque assault rifle or marksman rifle, since that's kind of what the game is going for. Or maybe it's something a bit more creative for the game. She's got that neat hairstyle and weird glasses. Maybe it's something a little more unconventional. Like maybe she's some kind of science lady, I don't know. Or, maybe you just can't guess the design because it's so generic. And if you thought any of these, nope, you're wrong. She uses throwing knives. Throwing knives. She can throw an unlimited amount of these that she has to still reload. She can do a lunging strike at enemies. She has a throwing star that debuffs enemy defense, has a ton of mobility, and can see enemies through walls if she crouches. She's essentially the ninja archetype. What about the design here even remotely correlates to that? Nothing. The answer's nothing. Nothing! Nothing! Then there's things about each character that aren't fun with them gameplay-wise. There's this character that looks like she's wearing one of those helmets from the movie WALL-E. She has a grenade launcher, her abilities are throwing down these burnite pools that ignite on contact with fire, as well as a fire dart that can ignite these. You probably think, oh, and with a grenade launcher, you can use that to light up areas and create an area of denial. Nope, wrong. The grenade launcher also spits out the same material that can only be ignited with fire. So unless you're hitting someone with direct shots, you have a grenade launcher that has no explosive splash damage whatsoever. And if you want to make these flamed areas to either deny a route or cause extra damage, you have to perform an extra step to even do that. Why do I have to think about igniting this with something that isn't a fucking grenade launcher? And then there's the other character with a grenade launcher. Not only is it unclear how exactly this grenade launcher even really works, sometimes these spores go out and home in on targets, other times they just kind of float and do nothing. Now I'm going to have a little bit of a tangent because I feel like I need to talk about this to kind of emphasize this point I'm about to make. So I'm openly gender fluid, so I'm very open about, dressing up more feminine, looking more feminine, that kind of stuff. And while I only found this out a few years ago, I'm still obviously open to the fact that, there's probably some stuff about gender identity and identity in general that I don't particularly know about, that I'm still open to, learning about. But look at this. Pronouns undecided? What do I call Toad if Nintendo wasn't fucking around? How the hell am I gonna refer to him? Her, it, they. Jesus, see what I fucking mean? I need to know how to refer to my colleagues when we're committing galactic war crimes. Like, come on, game. Is there an in-lore reason for this? Is there a reason this is the only character on the roster that has undecided pronouns? What are your pronouns, Mushroom Man? What are they? Also, quick last-minute update here. I just realized I've, ironically enough, spent this entire review misgendering this one character, and they're actually referred to as they, them. So, sorry about that. Not even doing that because I'm, biased or I'm not, anti-woke or any bullshit like that. I legitimately just forgot because the entire cast is just that fucking forgettable. This isn't the only time character weapons and abilities are really unclear either. One of the better characters, this Trashbot guy, he's got one of the more unique loadouts for this game. His gun is actually a vacuum that can suck up projectiles, which can be used to make more deployable air barriers and trash bombs. And it has a secondary fire that basically acts like a pressure cooker and shoots a blast of heat on enemies. This is actually kind of cool in concept, but it never seemed really clear what projectiles you can actually suck up, let alone which ones the air barriers block. So most of the time, I'm just ignoring one of the big things that makes this character unique because it's just more effective to shoot pressurized heat at enemies. Imagine if sucking up projectiles would make that fire mode stronger in some way. Maybe that's the case and the game didn't really tell me because there's no tutorials or training sections to get accustomed to how any of these characters play. And before you say, oh, that's gonna be in the full game because the settings talk about that, this is a fucking beta. I think it's kind of important you learn how to actually play the characters for a fucking beta in a fucking live service shooter where you're already fighting an uphill battle. There is a how to play section you can read up on, but let's be real. Are you actually going to want to read these walls of text to learn the ins and outs of each character instead of, actually playing as them to learn about this stuff? Look, I get every game is going to have a learning curve to it. I get that, but when I'm consistently seeing other players having the similar issues that I'm having when I'm trying to play these characters, that's kind of a fucking problem. Some abilities are just straight up bad. So this Ben Swallow character, he's got a barrier, right? Makes sense for a defensive healer with this playstyle. Pop a barrier up, that'll protect your teammates and prevent enemies from firing at you. Funny thing about this barrier though, it deflects everything, regardless of what team you're on. You could have moments where your projectiles get deflected by your own team's barrier, or better yet, you step into one in the middle of a gunfight and it starts deflecting your bullets. What is the goddamn point of this if it isn't even going to function like every single barrier would in any other video game? The one that baffles me the most though is this sniper character. Now, I enjoy sniping in video games, even if I'm not really good at it. I love high-risk, high-reward playstyles, and most games with snipers really lend themselves well to that. And with this character having a single-shot rifle that reloads after every shot, I thought I would get that here too. Nope! Throw in the fucking Team Fortress 2 nope fucking meme from 2012? I don't fucking know. There isn't a single character in this game you can one-shot with this rifle, not even to the head. If you want to kill someone in this game, you either have to whip out your pistol or trip mines to finish them off, have a teammate finish them so you can get an assist or vice versa, or hope that they're bad enough that you can get a second shot in after a really slow reload. Against tank enemies, I can understand this, but what kind of game gives you a one-shot sniper rifle like this where you don't even have the potential to one-shot them in the head, let alone anywhere else? What is the point of this pea shooter of a gun if that potential doesn't even exist? And before you say it's a team-based shooter where you should expect help from other players, A, no I fucking shouldn't with this kind of character, and B, the first game modes you have available to you aren't team-focused, they're deathmatch ones. The first modes the game gives you where you're naturally going to see that teamwork less. The balance here is all over the place. There's some characters very clearly better than others. They really, really want you to play as Discount Star-Lord because his damage output is fucking bonkers. This rocket launcher chick is also pretty busted having this much mobility with a launcher that can lock onto targets, hover in the air, and do a ground stomp. Sometimes it feels inconsistent, like how the Trashbot can sometimes suck up bullets and sometimes nothing happens. Combine this with how much the character's weapons and abilities work against you as much as they help you, and you have a roster of characters that are mostly screwed in terms of actual balance. Dude, I'm having throat's fucking up here, but it didn't fuck me up as much as this game. Haha. Fucking look, this was all frustrating enough to me that I actually did something I thought I would never do in a million years. I went back to Overwatch. Let me give you the real quick rundown of my thoughts on Overwatch. I really loved the game until I didn't. The first few years of the game were a blast to play, but it seemed like as time went on, the game just went through a curved graph down on its overall quality. Between the questionable balancing changes and hero overhauls, the overfocus on competitive over casual play, the story content they hyped up for several years only for it to go absolutely nowhere, on top of Blizzard just being an awful company all around in the past decade, I fell out of love with the game. Besides Overwatch 2's launch that I played out of morbid curiosity, the last time I played the game in any real capacity was back in 2018, 2019, whenever Brigida broke the game in half for a month and a half. And let me tell you, nothing makes you appreciate a not-so-great game like an even worse one. There's enough new stuff here in Overwatch 2 that it felt like jumping back to Minecraft in 2019 after playing it on 360 for me, and yet, I was still able to hop right back in like nothing happened. I mean, sure, part of that is because I played the game a lot when I actually liked it, and there's an actual practice range, but it's telling that I had no idea how these newer characters that I haven't seen before played in any capacity, and yet I was still able to adjust to playing to them way quicker than even the simplest characters in this game. One of these new ones, Ramatra, I really grew to liking a lot and spending a good chunk of my revisit playing as him. And that's another thing. I immediately remembered Ramatra's name after a single day. I can't remember any of these characters' names except for Hamar, but that's because she's the only one here who actually looks alright and makes sense art direction-wise. I don't know, maybe it's something about a character that looks like she doesn't want to be here. Yeah, neither do I. You know what else I appreciated more in my Overwatch revisit? Game modes. More specifically, game modes that actually fit the mold of a hero shooter. Concord barely has that. It's got a traditional team deathmatch and a bounty game mode. These are whatever, they're deathmatch modes, but the competitive modes here are so fucking bad. One of them has this package at the center you have to deliver to a point and extract with. The other is a King of the Hill mode with a point capture in the center. First problem, these game modes have no respawning. Why? What kind of point capture game mode like this has no respawning whatsoever? Rounds are over before they can even start. I had several matches where no one even contested a point, they just went after each other to see which team would bite the dust first. Like, in no way should you ever make a non-respawn game mode where killing an entire team is more effective than playing the fucking objective. They should both be equally viable. This happens less often with this package game mode, but there's another problem with these non-respawn game modes that pops up more often on this one. Deployables don't reset. It is entirely possible to just stack deployables throughout a match and get an advantage before a round even starts. One of my strategies became playing as this Ben Swallow character and dropping healing pads around the objectives so that when we spawned for future rounds, they were still there, and my team had a means of retreating and healing easier, because good luck getting HP back when it doesn't regenerate and these health pickups take forever to respawn. It's really funny, sure, but that's terrible design for something that's meant to be more competitive. You can win most competitive games either by just eliminating the entire team or just cheesing it. Don't mind that for a casual game, but for something that's meant to be competitive, it's just baffling game design. Not to mention that every time you respawn, you get a very limited time to select your character, look at the map you're playing on, look at each character's stats, and once you spawn in, there's no going back. No way to change characters until you die. Remember how games like Overwatch at least gave you a safe space to change characters? That's not here. At all. Oh my god, the lines and animations they say every fucking time you select them is so fucking cringe and annoying. Like, oh my god.
I got you. Me and my crew. On my mark.
Come on, let's go!
Fight is won. All right.
The expert's on it.
Yes, indeed.
I got you.
Come on, let's go!
On my mark. Me and my crew. On my mark. I got
Just shut up. Just shut up.
Yes,
The
indeed.
expert's
Shut
on
up.
it.
Fight
Shut
is
up.
won.
Shut up! There's more to talk about here, like how this crew building mechanic works and how it's likely going to play into the microtransactions this $40 game will have. Customization that really sucks, like wow, the color green is a rare drop. That bodes well. Or the fact that getting stuff for your player card is a form of unlockable cosmetics. It appears that one of those unlockable cosmetics is displaying your fucking statistics. Ugh, unlockable statistics. Is that where we're really at now? Even little things add up here. The game doesn't let you re-queue for matches. Every match you have to back out all the way to the main menu and search for games again. I had one moment where I was AFK for a while, but the game never actually kicked me the entire match. So if you've got AFK players on your team, you're kinda screwed. Especially since if players back out, they don't fill empty slots. I had one game where this one poor soul got stuck playing against us for a third of the match completely by himself because the game wouldn't feel his team, and I can't even make a joke of, well, no one's playing it, because I can find matches on this beta perfectly fine. You wouldn't believe the whiplash I got when I discovered the scoreboard. I asked some friends before this what they usually expect to be the button for a scoreboard in basically any multiplayer game. You know, sometimes it's the tab key on a keyboard, but on controller, it's usually either start or select or whatever that controller's variant of that is. So like the touchpad on the DualSense. In this game, the touchpad is the ping button. So what's the scoreboard button? Down on the D-pad. The literal last button I pressed on my controller trying to find it. What kind of game has down on the goddamn D-pad for the scoreboard as the default control scheme? Yeah, I know the game lets you customize your controls in any way you want, but that's besides the point. This made me so unreasonably frustrated when I discovered it, because what person looks at a controller and thinks this is the perfect button for a scoreboard when start and select have been normalized for God knows how long? Oh my fucking god, you guys, I'm tweaking over a fucking scoreboard. I can't fucking do this. I can't fucking do this, dude. I get that this is a beta, and you know, with any beta, it's not going to resemble the final product, and there's going to be things you're going to have to fix later on for the final release. But the problem here isn't that the game is buggy or unpolished. It's actually quite polished. The game just isn't good. Guys, I really do my best to give people the benefit of the doubt when they work on stuff like this, because I've worked on plenty of creative projects myself, and I know how hard the creative process can be. No one sets out to make a purposely bad product, and I'm sure no one at Firewalk Studios wanted to make a bad game. But the game isn't even out yet, and I think it's more dead on arrival than when it was revealed. No amount of beta testing is going to change how the game is inherently designed. I've personally learned the hard way before that all the real and genuine passion in the world won't help if what you're making is something that inherently doesn't work. It's a hard lesson to learn, but I think it's one that this studio is still about to learn. So fun story too, I wrote all of this when I was doing the first weekend of the beta, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to wait till the second one because there is some more content coming out for the second weekend. There's got to be something here, right? And they added this new game mode that's basically just point control. It's essentially a King of the Hill game mode. I fell asleep playing this game. How? Like, I didn't even know video games could do that. I fell asleep for 15 minutes while I was playing this. I was that bored of playing it. Look, I'm tired. Are you tired? Are you still watching this? If you are, congrats. You're a fucking hero. Look, just don't play this. Play Overwatch if you really want to play some kind of hero shooter. Hell, go play Paladins. That's probably even a much better alternative when it comes to this genre of shooter. Go play Team Fortress 2. I mean, I don't know if it's even still stable anymore, but it's probably still a better experience than this. Hell, I mean, go play fucking Valorant. I don't know if it's any good. It can't be any worse than this game was. Is Marvel Rivals still a thing? Is that still a game that people are playing? Is that anything that's good? Is it any good? It's probably still better than this game. Probably better than Concord. There's no intro or outro of this on this video. This game broke me. Bye. Alright, let's see if this joke will actually be worth it here. Oh god, pronouns. This joke was not worth it.